Welcome. This is David Boles, Human Meme. Today's topic, Václav Havel, Velvet Revolution playwright, president. The goal of every playwright is to change the world, to bring morality back to the center core of us, and to, with finality, preserve the truth and bring light to the facts of the human condition. There are few playwrights in history who have made such a substantial mark on lives well beyond the current capacity of living and engagement. We, the playwrights, long to fill the empty space with something vital, and something earnest, and something real and universal. And sometimes we succeed, but more often than not, we tend to fall into failure. And that's all okay, because without the effort, we are incomplete in the divine. Without the pursuit of circumstance and ordinariness, we crumble into ineptitude. Without the sacrifice of time and longing without a bitter end, we tempt the eternity of joy in space. And so, my dear human meme friend, history leads us, rather currently by the nose, into the life of playwright and artist and politician, Václav Havel. Václav Havel, who now forever owns the honor of being the first modern playwright leader of a free world. And this podcast, this Václav Havel monument to a man, is for the rest of us a memory of his dedicated effort to be a rebel, to be an anarchist, and to preserve the union of his people by standing up and doing what was right, even if what was right was unpopular, dissident, and against the middling mainstream mind. Václav Havel fought and won against the tyranny of communism. So let's share a moment of reflection in the fact that we, the together of us, as a nation of minds and a people of feelings, have been able to cohesively come of age in a time when a playwright could become the head of a nation. All well knowing that fact is completely awe-inspiring, and that, in fact, we beg against the darkness that such a mimetic and terrific fact may again happen in our lifetimes. And yes, we too unfortunately know the first rule of any insurrection is to kill the intellectuals. That means get rid of the dissenters, the freethinkers, the loners, the teachers, the artists, the playwrights, because they live to make people wonder and dream and consider. But autocrats want to rule the world with an iron thumb. They do not want a variety of voices or choices. Experience is detrimental to the autocrat's internal kleptocracy. And those horrible, lonesome leaders demand adherence to their knee, and they vow to get rid of anyone who disagrees with them, including those who dare to challenge their self-defined status quo. Now let's take a turnaround, if you will, to this historic moment from the memorable inspiration. The following is from the official website of Václav Havel, located online at VACLAVHAVEL.cz. translated from Czech into English, proving just how one has to wiggle away in their lives to circle around to claim a win. Let the repressors think they've won, while you, the playwright, expand your own special kind of dominion. Okay then, from Václav writer and dramatist, one of the first spokesmen for Charter 77, leading figure of the Velvet Revolution of 1989, last president of Czechoslovakia and first president of the Czech Republic. Václav Havel grew up in a well-known entrepreneurial and intellectual family, which was closely linked to the culture and political events in Czechoslovakia from the 20s to the 40s. Because of those links, the communists did not allow Havel to study formally after having completed his required schooling in 1951. So in the first part of the 1950s, a young Václav Havel entered into a 4-year apprenticeship as a chemical laboratory assistant, while simultaneously taking evening courses to complete his secondary education, which he did in 1954. For political reasons beyond his control, he was not accepted into any post-secondary schooling with a humanities program. Therefore, he opted to study at the Faculty of Economics of Czech Technical University. He left that program after 2 years. The intellectual tradition of his family compelled Václav Havel to pursue the humanitarian values of Czech culture, which were harshly suppressed in the 1950s. Following his return from 2 years of military service, he worked as a stage technician, and from 1962 until 66, he studied drama by correspondence at the Faculty of Theatre of the Academy of Musical Arts, and he completed his studies with a commentary on the play Edward, which became the basis of his own play, The Increased Difficulty of Concentration. And now here's a final cohesive bit to put a top on this from Encyclopedia Britannica that more directly addresses Václav Havel's accomplishments as a playwright in the political sphere of change. When massive anti-government demonstrations erupted in Prague in November 1989, Havel became the leading figure in the Civic Forum, a new coalition of non-communist opposition groups pressing for democratic reforms. The Communist Party capitulated and formed a coalition government with the Civic Forum. As a result of an agreement between the partners in this bloodless Velvet Revolution, Václav Havel was elected to the position of interim president of Czechoslovakia December 29, 1989, and he was re-elected to the presidency in July of 1990, becoming the country's first non-communist leader since 1948. As the Czechoslovak Union faced dissolution in 1992, Havel, who opposed the division, resigned from office. The following year, he was elected president of the new Czech Republic. His political role, however, was limited as Prime Minister Václav Klaus, 93 to 97, commanded much more of the power. In 1998, Havel was re-elected by a narrow margin, and under his presidency, the Czech Republic joined the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, in 1999. Barred constitutionally from seeking a third term, Václav Havel stepped down as president in 2003. And there you have it. The historic legacy of Václav Havel, a playwright, born into a good family that valued education and exposure to experience. And he became the leader of a people. He became the leader of a free nation. And this is all vitally important and imperative, if you will, that the liberal arts can indeed serve the needs of a country. Because the liberal arts are always about inspiration and fairness and equality and change and facing our flaws together head on. and all without obedience to a governing power that seeks to silence us and influence us into darkness. We owe the world the truth, and the role of the playwright in society is to confront and to condemn and to foster change. And Václav Havel is the absolute exemplar of what it means to lead an aware life that is engaged and diplomatic. If Václav Havel were a monster, or a dullard, or a dotard, nobody would have followed him. He would not have been elected or won re-election. Yes, the inner core of a person matters, and Václav Havel's spirit was a single flame that has now lighted 1,000 fires. We owe Václav Havel our complicity, our anger, our respect, and our awe. Václav Havel died of lung complications in 2011. He was 75, and he was a lifelong smoker who, over the last stretch of his life, dealt with a lot of breathing problems. And so even the gods who walk among us are human and fallible and inconsolable. In the death of Václav Havel is his living legacy. He fought communism and he won. He brought down the Berlin Wall and won. He wrote plays to engage the world in conception, and he won. And oh, the rest of us should be so lucky, if not so spectacularly inspired to know that yes, a playwright writes a revolution in every scene. And a playwright rips apart an unfair world with every plot twist. And, finally, we all must know there is solace and resurrection in the typing of the effervescent mortal, and in the finality of lights fade, blackout. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.